All right. Hey, party people. What's going on? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello. Bonjour from France. Bonjour to France. Cape Town, Miami, Jersey. All right. Oh my God. Y'all, I need a haircut so bad. Look at how long my hair is now. It doesn't even stay in the frame. It's fine. There are worse things. Okay. So, as I mentioned in the chat, I want to start with a little mini short lecture answering a question I get a lot. And then I'm going to open up to your questions. Okay. Where in Africa? That's pretty vague. There are a lot of countries in Africa. All right. So here is a question I get a ton. Is Zoe, can I be a designer? Okay. Zoe, I'm a boy. Can I be a designer? Zoe, I'm 45 years old. Am I too old to be a designer? Zoe, I didn't go to fashion school. Can I be a designer? Zoe, I can't draw to save my life. Can I be a fashion designer? Zoe, I hate sewing. Can I be a fashion designer? And so I get this question a lot. Can I be a fashion designer? Can I be a fashion designer? And you need to get rid of this question from your mind, because what you should be asking yourself is, what kind of fashion designer can I be? Because we all have different strengths, different weaknesses. We all have our different advantages and disadvantages, whether it is location, money, resources, supportive family, you know, close to a good school, close to a big city with a garment district, ability to attend an online program, money, none of the above. Like, we all have different resources, we all have different abilities. And so what you need to think about is, what are the resources that I have, and what kind of fashion designer can I be? And, if you can't go to fashion school, that's okay, because, then I guess you're not going to be a corporate fashion designer at a company that requires you to have a degree. You can start your career by freelancing and taking these one-time jobs and working with the recruiter and building your resume that way. Maybe you start your own business, and maybe, and people think of starting your own business and they think, oh, I need like hundreds of thousands of dollars to set all this up and hire 12 people. But you can start real small and start with private clients, start with a few clients, start with one product. There are a lot of companies that grow like that afterwards. So you don't need to go to college. I mean, I'm not anti college. I think you can learn a lot of things, and the networking and the resources can really open up for you, but you don't need to. And I've had emails where people are like, Zoe, I live in the middle of nowhere and there's nothing where I live. There's no fashion industry. So what can I do? Well, welcome to the internet. Here's the thing. I grew up in Alaska. Okay. I did kindergarten all the way through high school in the middle of Alaska in Anchorage, which is not in the middle, but you get my point. That's why I have a Alaska state map right here. Loud and proud, right on my cutting table. Okay. I grew up in Alaska where there is no fashion industry, but I worked my butt off and I was able to go to a really good fashion school in Los Angeles, mostly on scholarship, working 3 part-time jobs while going to school full time, Was it easy? No. Did I do it anyway? Yes, I did, because that's what I wanted. And so, one, you can work your way to getting a scholarship somewhere and move away from the nowhere that you live in, or you can just use the internet. Go online and buy fabrics, go online and hire people to do the things that you're not able to do, make things, sell things. You can sell things on the internet, you can sell things at a local pop-up. And if you don't have the internet, I don't know how you found me, so I'm assuming that you have the internet. Okay, so whatever it is, you need to literally sit down, and I want you to write these things down, whether it's in your computer or in a notebook. I want you to write these things down so it's a concrete thing that you are doing and thinking, as opposed to just like random wanderings in your mind. I want you to write it down. I want you to write, what advantages do I have for my career right now? Okay. Do I have friends and family who are super supportive that I can lean on when I'm feeling like crap? Do I have some savings? Do I have time during the day to learn some skills or make some things? Or, time is a huge deal. So make a list of the resources that are available to you. Like, oh, I'm like a 40-minute bus ride from this good art school that I can apply to, things like that. And then think, and then make a list of the things that you can work towards. There are some things that are just beyond all of like our scope. Like I'm never going to have access to $20 million. Like Tory Burch, she started with a $2 million loan from her husband, and that's how she built her business. And yeah, I'm just not going to be in that position to just casually borrow $2 million from my husband. So yeah, we have to think realistically about the resources we can get, earn, strive for, resources we have already, and think about how we can use those strengths and gifts to become a specific kind of fashion designer and pursue it like that, as opposed to be thinking, oh, I'm too old, or I'm the wrong gender, or I don't look right, or I don't have the right background. Or instead of that, think about what you have in front of you and what you can have and how you can shape your career. Because as you move forward in your career, as you make more sales and as you meet more people, other opportunities will open up. But to get started, you have to start from a position of, what do I have to work with? And what can I move forward with? And go from there. And, when we have a situation, and I say that like we've ever been in a situation like a global pandemic ever. I think the last one we can say is like the Great Depression or Spanish flu, which was before the Great Depression. So I doubt there's anyone alive in this chat that was alive during those times. But when there is a serious economic, global sort of major event, it is a good time to think about, how to move forward and how the world is changing and how those shifts are going to, pan out for you individually. There's already, Neiman Marcus filed for bankruptcy this week. Lord and Taylor filed for bankruptcy today. I heard a rumor that JCPenney's is also on the chopping block. I also read somewhere that Nordstrom actually has enough money for the next 12 months, and they're actually paying their vendors. So, the whole industry is going to be changing. We're going to be thinking, our shopping habits will be changing. And, when you think about, oh, I want to start a business and, I want to put some product out there, you should really think about things that survive recessions and things that people are really going to want in the future. You're like, Zoe, who is starting a business right now? Actually, a lot of business experts actually think that now is the right time to be thinking about starting a business, because things are slow right now. And so now is kind of like this hibernation time for a lot of people. And this is a good time to really lay the mental foundation for what you want to do when people are out and shopping, spending money. I don't think it's going to be the same as before, but like up to that level again. And, you know, there's that whole like during a recession, lipstick sales go through the roof because it's like this usually cheap, cute thing, a mental pick me up. It's a mood booster. It's beautiful, but also useful. And so, lipsticks and beauty products that are easy to shop for, like lipstick, those those sales soared through the recession. So, whatever you may have in your mind for what product you may be thinking of producing, you know, on the other end, you know, like BC before Corona, after Corona, okay? And and think, does the world need this? Does the world want this? Will they still want it on the other side? And really give that some thought. Okay. People are posting questions about how the world is going to change. And these are all food for thought. People are saying things like fabric is more difficult to buy nowadays. I have a friend who, lost work like a lot of people did because of COVID-19. And now she's making not as much money as she was, but she's making a living making masks. And, you know, if you are financially stable enough to donate masks, that's great. But I'm not saying that masks should be free because you're undermining the labor of people and the materials that went into making those masks. But are there other medical equipment, scrubs, gowns, caps that you can also be producing and selling, providing? Right now, there are all these jokes across the internet where, well, this one is not a joke. But the sales of tops, t-shirts, blouses, but like work-friendly tops are still selling well, whereas nobody's buying pants and skirts because we're all on these Zoom calls working online and no one sees your pants. Okay, you can't see my pants. I mean, you did last time because I had to use the ladies' room, but yeah, like you only see the tops. So people are buying tops, but nobody's buying bottoms. And tons of people are buying loungewear. Like if they get a stick up their butt about trying to buy something, they're like, what are some great lounge pants they could wear around the house? So all of these things, these fashion trends, these retail trends, they're always related to how people are living and what they're doing on a mass scale. Okay. And so pay attention to how people are living around you. Of course, I cannot speak for every country, every city, and how they're living. My worldview is formed by the fact that I live in California, I live in the US, and I try to read global news, but this is really like the things that I see the most and experience the most. So that's what I'm seeing. So look at how the people around you are living and what are the things that they are craving, that they are willing to spend money on, and it might not even be fashion. There's nothing that says that your hobby has to become the thing that you make money out of. But if you think about it like CSA, like food delivery, produce delivery, all of these food delivery options are thriving, not necessarily restaurants, but grocery deliveries and shipped sort of food package deals. Things like what are those like Blue Apron? I don't use those because I really enjoy cooking on my own, but like those meal prepared kits where they send you all the ingredients and you make it at home, like those companies are thriving because that is what people need. And so, yeah, totally go for it. Here's a cool thing I heard about. And so there's somebody out there in the world and they are making make your own jacket kits. So there's a pattern, there's fabric, there's thread, all the materials that you need to make your own jacket. You order your size and they send it to you. And so you have all the materials and then you cut and sew it at home. And I thought that was really clever. I was posting on Twitter the other day. How many of you know about the whole Great Depression flour bags thing? Anybody? Okay, so during the Great Depression, people were buying a lot of flour. More people baked at home and made things from scratch at home back then, but also families were buying big bags of flour and there wasn't a lot of other money to buy things. And, children grow so fast, they need new clothes. And so the flour companies, they started printing patterns on the fabric that carried all that flour. And then some companies even went as far as to print pattern pieces, like the outlines of the pattern pieces, like a marker and instructions on how to sew the dresses. And those were done in an ink that you could wash out. And so that was that was a big thing in the Great Depression. And I was like half serious, half joking on Twitter that we should do this again because there's I don't know what is happening over where you live, but in the US, everyone is baking like nobody's business. And there is a flour and yeast shortage. It's bananas. And so I was saying, listen, flour companies should do this again. We can make our own clothes as long as we have instructions and get printed out on these reusable bags. And, before people would buy these 5-pound bags of flour, and now people are looking for big bags. And I don't know, it was just a thing. So be clever, think about, what the world needs. I threw out some ideas at you. So there you go. All right. Questions? I'm just going to scroll through here really quick. All right. Norway and Delaware, Troy, Michigan, Maryland, Sweden, Atlanta. Hello, hello, hello. Uganda. Oh my God, it's 4 a.m. Hello. Detroit, Indiana. Dun, 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 dun. Ethiopia. Kansas. Zoe said work. I did. Yeah. So Corey, your friend's brother works at Neiman's. Yeah, they're still restructuring. Here's the thing, is they're still restructuring. They are going to close some brick and mortar locations. They're still selling online. They just launched their big beauty sale, whatever. But I just so there's hope, but I always think when Barney's first filed, and then the whole situation spiraled so fast. So yeah, if he can, maybe he needs to start looking for new work immediately. Just go for it. Do you think fashion will change drastically after this pandemic? Yes, in every sense of the industry. You started your business this year. Good for you. Good job. I started my business too. Good job. Do. Mm-hmm. Buy your own a white? What are you talking about? A white? Okay, I don't really understand that whole thing. Do you think getting a student loan for fashion school is a bad choice? I live outside the US, firmly decided to study fashion design at FIT New York, as I understand it would be the best choice for me. Okay, this could not be true, but as I understood it, most fashion schools in the US do not give loans to international students. So you really need to look into that. And most universities in the US charge higher to many. I don't use those. I do get a produce CSA. I have a vegetable and fruit box that comes every week. And I love that. That's the best. That's why I gotta save this, because grocery stores had nothing for those first few weeks. Yeah, those first few weeks, it was really like the zombie apocalypse. People decided that they were going to buy all the things. And there was this somewhat sad, somewhat hilarious post of this guy who had gotten into a fight with his girlfriend because his girlfriend had buried like 30 cans of beans in their backyard. And because she was so freaked out about what would happen. Yeah. Where did you purchase that working table behind you with the stool chairs? There's like 4 tables, I have 5 tables. Do you mean this big one? This big one I got at Ahern Cutting. They do, that's an industrial cutting table, just like one section. So I'll put that in the chat. Ahern Cutting. Ooh, I'd love to have that if hand sewn. I have no machine still. Yeah. The clothing kits, they sound really cool. So this person is doing jackets, and somebody had said they're charging $100 for a kit. And somebody had said that that's like really a lot of money for make like something where you have to make it yourself. But I don't think so. I think it depends on the material you get sent for the fabric, but really materials, instructions, tools, everything you need to make a jacket, like, I mean, I think $100 is reasonable. The people that were talking about this kit, they're also like really good at sewing. And so they're really fast. And so they think of labor in terms of how fast they can sew things. But I don't know. But it's also like a fun project. But like really, I would have to like look at the materials and the quality of the things that get sent before I would, and how much fabric that gets sent because of, you know, how intricate and big the jacket is. But I don't think $100 for something like that is too much in general. My grandmother made dresses from the flower bags. That's so cool. That's really cool. Yeah, make your own sewing kits. Yes. Great grandmother. Yeah, see, that was a long ass time ago. I'm gonna post a poll tomorrow across my social media, but you'll be the first to hear it. So in terms of the May video, I'm torn between doing a video going back to my fashion history series and doing the next decade, which is the 1930s. And I think it's really apropos because the 1930s covers the Great Depression. And so I thought it would be really interesting to kind of deep dive in the Great Depression and how it affected fashion, especially right now. But also, I got so many requests for a lining video with my with the last video that I did. So all about designing what fabrics and, how to adjust the lining pattern and things like that. So yeah, give it some thought. I'm going to post the poll and vote tomorrow. Do you want a lining video or do you want a 1930s fashion history video? Reese Cooper is doing the sewing kit with the pattern. Yeah, I didn't catch the name, so I don't know. Man, okay, I have to speed up because there's like so much stuff. In reference to the world needs right now, do you think the world needs more fashion designers, people in the industry? I think people need smarter people in the fashion industry, more ethical people in the industry. And I would like those smart and ethical people to bump out the not so smart, not so ethical people. So, yeah. Here in France, we will be compelled to wear a mask inside public transportation, shops. Yeah. It's been a thing in East Asia, especially, that they've been wearing masks as part of their regular life a lot, like a big number of their population. I know that Chinese people do it because the air pollution is very bad in some places. The Japanese, a lot of their population just wear masks like regularly, or if they're feeling a little bit sick, because there's such a population dense place. And I think that is going to be one of the things where people are going to start wearing masks in public spaces, uh, really crowded places like public transportation. New York, LA. Do, 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 do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Myanmar. What do you think makes you stand out than other designers in the industry? Is it your aesthetic? Is it your techniques? It's everything. Right now, there's the market is flooded with so much stuff that everything has to be on point. Okay, your designs have to be appealing. Your fit has to be on point, and the way you market and the way you ship, your returns policy, everything has to be on point, because there's so many options for people out there right now. Is Project Runway a real motivator for making good clothes? I personally do not think so. Listen, the things that motivate and inspire people are all different person to person. But if you watch Project Runway and that inspires you to get your button gear, go for it. And if every time you watch an episode, you're like, I should go make something, maybe that is the thing that gets you moving, Who's to say what motivates somebody else? What sewing machine do I recommend? I always recommend industrials. I think Juki's make the best machines. Get the machine that you're going to use. That's always the thing. Is like, I remember when I was first starting my YouTube channel, that was one of the big things they were drilling into me, was like, because I had gone to like a YouTube boot camp sort of thing, and I told them that I was shooting everything on iPhones, and they're like, if that's the thing that guarantees you're going to make videos every week, just stick to it, because they've heard of like all these people that get a fancy camera so that they can start their YouTube channel, and then they have such a hard time learning how to use it that they give up. And so they're like, get the one that you're going to use. So if you're going to be really intimidated by an industrial from the beginning, don't get one. Start with a simple, cheap little Singer that you can practice on, and then grow your skill set, and then eventually move up to an industrial. Thank you, thank you. You're welcome, you're welcome. All the things, so many comments. I started an online business and a website. Trouble figuring out how to do my marketing. How do you know of a helpful resource? I would start by utilizing your social media. And there are a lot of videos out there on how to utilize your social media, how to get more clicks on Instagram, or, how to get more followers here. There's a lot of videos like that. A lot of people focus on like one piece of social media that they are good at. And I would recommend you start there. Oh my gosh, I lost my place again. A 1930s lining video? Shut up. Dun, dun, dun. I do love all your stories. I'm reading them. They're great. If you're watching the recap of this, I recommend you go into the chat and read all these great stories, but I can't like really. Rab, I am going to shoot you all synthetic fabrics. Like, this is something that I'm going to touch on in the linings video, whether it's the next one or the one after that or what have you. But if you put a synthetic lining in a silk garment, I will personally come to your house and smack you. Just don't do that. Okay. Oh, that's the. Why does this thing do this to me? Why does this thing do this to me? I'm still a sophomore in high school, want to work with a dress form for draping. My cheap one from Amazon broke. Are options like PGM worth the price? Are there any alternatives? PGM is probably The cheapest out of all of the ones that look most like industrial dress forms. And if you're for sure going to go to fashion school or continue draping well into your, into your 20s, I would recommend you get one. It is an investment. But the one that you guys see me use in my videos is from PGM. I've had it for 12 years and it still looks brand new because I take good care of it. Yeah, I get that $300 is a lot, but it is an industrial piece of equipment that should last you a very long time. Okay. So whenever I'm trying to make an investment purchase, I think about cost per wear or cost per use. And I've used this thing so many times that my cost per use is like less than a penny at this point. Okay. So think about how often you're going to use it, how long you're going to use it, if this is really something you're going to pursue, and start saving your money. I've thought about making masks, but I worry I won't make any money since everybody isn't making them. Will there be a demand for masks for a long time? So as I said, I do think that a culture of mask wearing is going to continue for a while. So I was listening. I was talking to my husband, and they were talking about a vaccine. They're about a few weeks away from a vaccine for coronavirus. But here's the thing: a vaccine needs to be tested for about 18 months before they can start issuing it to the public. And so I think that a lot of people are going to opt to wear masks, even if it's not regulated by law, because they see how good it's done in countries like Japan and China. And there's definitely some who are paranoid. That would be me. I will be wearing a mask in public. There's my little Hello Kitty one that was the first prototype I made. If you follow my Instagram, you saw that the first one I made was a Hello Kitty one for my husband, but I didn't put it in the video because I thought I was going to get nailed for like some trademark stuff. But yeah, I think people will be wearing masks. You can, there's the whole thing is like, I was kind of late to the mask game, but part of that was because I wanted to figure out a really good design. So time and time again, we see that it's not necessary to be the first person to do it, but really the best person to do something. Do you think tactical utilitarian fashion like crossbody bags, bullet vests, face masks are trending now? Okay, not all of those things. I think masks for sure. I think utilitarian fashion. I think people buy more for utility and function and more casual in times like this. So, yeah. This question stuff is getting deleted. I don't know. I'm not deleting anything right now, so I don't know how to help you. This question might be ridiculous, but if you were offered to take over a very large brand like Chanel or Gucci, what type of change would you make? Probably I would review their sustainability and ethical worker treatment processes on the production end and take it from there. Do you think that if you want to study fashion marketing, it's absolutely necessary to have an artistic portfolio? What do you think I should put in it? Okay, so fashion marketing, they don't require a fashion drawing or anything like that portfolio. You're going to need to go look up different schools that offer a fashion marketing program and look up the admissions policies, because of course they're always different per school, but marketing people, they don't draw, they don't sew. So I don't expect them to require a portfolio for those skills. I design feminine clothes. I hate looking girly, so I don't know how to design the stuff I like to wear, but I excel at the stuff I wouldn't wear. Does it matter how I look? You are not necessarily your customer. I know a lot of people design for themselves, but you don't have to. You think about like a lot of the designers out there and what they wear at the end of the runway. Do they all look like the stuff that they presented on the runway? Not really. So, can style and taste in fashion be taught or learned? Hmm, it can be discovered and it can be refined. You know, you can take raw material and grow with it. I love your Etsy page. Your color swatch is phenomenal. Thank you very much. Have you visited a place where people's daily fashion was impressive to you? Where and why? I mean, I've been to Japan twice, and that's always good for uh that's really good for um eye candy. People watching is phenomenal all over Japan. Uh Here's the thing that I don't think people talk about is I went to Poland, and I went to Poland 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 3 years ago. I went to Poland, no, 2 years ago, and I went to 3 different cities: Warsaw, Krakow, and Łódź. And I'd have to what I was surprised, what I noticed was not necessarily that the men are so fashionable, but they're all very put together. Nobody is sloppy. Nobody is sloppy in Poland. And I mean, I haven't been to very many other Eastern European countries or Central European countries, but like nobody is sloppy in Poland. They do not wear slovenly, messy clothes. They wear things that fit their bodies. I mean, not that they're all skin tight, but like fitted to their bodies. And they don't, there are no sloppy t-shirts. There are no workout clothes. Just everybody is like put together and not like dressed up. They're put together and they're not sloppy. Things fit them just like across the board. So no matter what somebody's personal style is, it's always just like neat presentation, neat fit. Like it's like everybody. But it was especially noticeable with the men because I think in general women tend to care more about their presentation. Just I'm generalizing, of course. But yeah, just I noticed that was a big thing. I have U.S. citizenship, so I don't qualify as an international student. I'm eligible for a student loan, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on getting. Like I said, it's really about dollars. You know, if it's a few thousand that you're going to need, go for it. If you're talking about you're going to have to like borrow $80,000 before you can graduate, no, I don't think so. Hmm. What other fashion or art channel that you know of is offering intriguing activities or communications during the quarantine? Mm, what am I watching? I am watching so many food channels right now. I love the Bon Appetit Test Kitchen channel. It's so fun. All the people on there are so fun. And they've recently been filming at home individually in their own kitchens. And in some cases, like one person was on vacation or a couple people were on vacation when shelter in place came down. And so they had to stay at those places. So they're in like completely different kitchens. And they're doing more videos on like what you can cook with what's in your pantry and like things that require very few ingredients, which I think is like it's nice. I'm like like learning all these things to incorporate into my own cooking because we're not in a like me like food is my hobby. And so before, if I was missing one or two ingredients for something, if I had the time, I would just run out and get them. But that's not our world anymore. And so it's like food substitutions and what to do with 6 ingredients and how to make a cake with only pantry stuff, no eggs, no butter. And so I find that really comforting. I find knowledge comforting. So I've been paying attention, like watching those kinds of channels a lot. Uh, that kind of thing sort of makes me happy. And working with food makes me creative. It's like kind of zen, and chopping is very zen for me. So kind of relaxing activities like that. Oh, I lost my day job. Everyone says I should start making masks, but that's not what I want to be known for. Should I still do it or follow my vision? If you don't want to, you don't have to. There's so many people making masks, and I'm not making masks because I'm still working full time. I am making videos and making podcasts and doing these live streams, working on my book, working on all these other projects that I have going on. And I'm working full time, but I wanted to post that tutorial so that I could help people. Uh, as of now, almost 700 people have downloaded the instructions and diagram that I posted on my online shop. And so I'm encouraging people. So you don't have to. There are lots of things, and if your vision is like this thing, you can spend the time working on that. What online sources for fabric are even open right now? Is Mood open? Mood Fabric is the big one. You know what? Alibaba has a huge database of fabric vendors. And, Alibaba.com is a huge marketplace. So again, you're going to have to go in there and you're going to have to read reviews and, get swatches and have conversations with the people. Because, just like any other store, it's kind of like shopping from Amazon. You got to read the reviews. Different sellers have different reputations. So you have to make sure you're buying from a legit source, things like that. But Alibaba has a lot of fabric vendors. Do you have any advice for someone making their way through the industry by themselves, like learning how to do everything from designing through selling? Yes, my entire channel is advice for anyone trying to make it through the industry without school. Maybe you have a more specific question. Will you cover cotton and linen in your fabric series? Maybe. I don't know. That's the thing is like linen, maybe like linen and cotton are opposites in terms of how to teach it. Linen, there's a few things. It's kind of limited. Linen blends are a whole different thing. And when they're linen blends, linen tends to be the minority, like the lesser percentage fiber. And with cotton, teaching cotton is like if I were a cooking teacher and I was going to teach things that had flour in it. Like there are so many cotton fabrics out there, like 100 bajillion million. That's an exact number, by the way. So yeah, it's really a matter of like how I can teach it in a way that is going to make sense for my students. I'm an international student from Indonesia looking to study fashion design abroad. Do you have any tips? Well, it looks like your English is pretty good, so there's that. Oh no, you didn't say fashion design in the US, so sorry. International student, study fashion design abroad. Do you have any tips? I would. Okay, so let's pretend that you have applied to the school and you have gotten accepted and that you can afford the fees. Okay, so let's say that that's set in place. What I would do is go to the school, to the city and country of the school, like way before you're supposed to start, and give yourself plenty of time to acclimate yourself to the city, get around, get used to transportation, whether you're going to use a car, whether you're going to use public transportation, get used to their money and their currency, and just like feel out like living there before you put school and homework on top of that. And ideally, if you have the money for it, to go to the city before you decide to go there, to decide if that is even a city you want to live in. Because I used to teach at a university in San Francisco, And I know that there are a lot of students who went home because they just did not like living in San Francisco. Like they liked the school, but it just their homesickness or just like there are things about San Francisco that they hated. They hated the US. They like all these things, right? So they went home because their everyday life was just miserable. So it has to be a compromise between the two. You can't, I mean, unless you're somebody who thrives in misery. I don't know. There's some people like that. I can't create, but I can recreate other people's work. Do I have a future in the fashion industry? I don't know what that means. Does that mean you're good at illustrating other people's styles? Does that mean you're good at making patterns? Like looking at somebody's design and making patterns? You know, people forget that there are a lot of roles within fashion that are not just straight up design. So I would watch my careers in fashion video and see if any like and I go over a lot of different job descriptions and see if like your skill set fits in any of the job descriptions that I mentioned. Marc Jacobs said he didn't have a collection for next spring 2021. However, Stella McCartney and Gabrielle Hearst have materials for their next collections because they're sustainable. I mean, yeah, like a lot of people are using dead stock, vintage materials, scrap materials, pre-consumer waste, scrap materials, and yeah, that's to a big advantage right now. Hmm. I've always loved the aesthetic of plague doctor masks. Would it be considered tasteless to make stylish versions? Dude, people are making them. I saw them on Facebook made out of really cheerful, colorful flower print cotton. People were really enjoying it. Go for it. There are people who with dark sense of humor. There are people who admire that kind of thing. Make a few, knock yourself out. Oh my God, I'm so behind. I'd love to take a step into retail experience and knowledge, then get a retail job. Like there's get one that requires you to work a lot with customers, like more with customers and having conversations and watching their shopping habits. The point of outlandish stuff on the runways is to show skill. I always compare crazy runway outfits to concept cars. Concept cars for the car industry. It's like showing off your talents, showing off what your company can do, what you think your vision is for the future. And it's probably not going to be that exact concept car, but just like visualizing the direction in an extreme sort of way of where that industry, where they think the industry is going. What are your opinions on cultural appropriation? What do you mean? Like, it's bad. That's it. Don't do it. That's my opinion. Did you hit the like button? Yes, please hit the like button. For a portfolio, what should be the limit of pictures for a mood board? It's not math. Okay. I would like to start a clothing business. I know a little about patterns. I won't be studying fashion, so I don't know where to start or where to learn. So, when you say study fashion design, do you mean you're not going to school? Because just because you're not going to a university doesn't mean you can just start with no knowledge. I really hate it when people are like, oh, I'm just going to do it because I don't want to go to school. I'm like, there's a difference, you know? There are a lot of resources online, in libraries, at your local art center where you can and you could take pattern making classes at like a local academy that's not like a bachelor's of fine arts, but yeah, if you want to start a business, you need to educate yourself, you need to teach yourself, you need to learn things. Doesn't have to be a university, but you need to go in there with knowledge. Hello, Zoe from Canada. What do you think about pajama relaxing clothes for home? Could it be a good start for a fashion designer? Yeah, people are so into that right now. Everybody wants to just like live in pajamas. Food channels. Chopped has been back at our house for the first time in a while, just coincidentally. What's Chopped? I don't know. Mood is closed. Mood is open. Mood is open, but running slower. That sounds about right. Mood was closed. I guess online it's open. Yeah, just go online and go check it out. But yeah, I do believe that the vast majority of online shopping services, everything is slower. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that it is easier and kinder on delivery warehouses, uh, that everything doesn't have to be shipped out like 3 hours after it's been ordered. Like, I think what I wish is for people to get used to longer lead times for shipping and just get comfortable with that, if that means that working conditions for factories is better and kinder. Yeah, Swatch On did a sponsored video with me. They do low minimum fabrics out of Korea. It's very cool. Check it out. Hello to Brazil. I got that book on pattern making. Really good. I don't know which one you're talking about, but I'm glad that was helpful. What should I do if my drawing skills are not improving? Practice in a different way. So maybe you are practicing, but you're in a rut. Maybe you need to practice in a different way, approach it in a different way than you were before. I recommend my 5 ways to practice video. Do, 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 do. Mm. Hmm. How can I make a professional portfolio? I have a portfolio playlist on my channel, and also I have some portfolio critique videos. You can check those out and see examples of different portfolios. Should a potential fashion illustrator be looking at fashion school? If they have an amazing illustration program, sure, but illustrators do not require degrees. Deadstock. What is deadstock? Deadstock is just fabrics that they're not reproducing anymore. So sometimes, designers don't want to work with deadstock because they want to make sure that they can reorder a quantity if they get a reorder for the item. But deadstock, nobody's making it anymore. It's just sitting in a warehouse somewhere. And so because they can't make it anymore, people don't want to use it. So it's sitting around in a warehouse. But a lot of people who are looking to produce in more sustainable methods will buy dead stock, will use stuff that's already sitting around existing. It's like vintage fabrics. Is there a reason for the model deadpan face? Yeah, a lot of the time, fashion designers, they prefer just an expressionless face so that they're not putting a mood attached to the clothing. And some people have more resting bitch face than others. I'd like to get in the fashion industry. I'm a total outsider to the community. Where would you recommend to start? Should I start for internships, certain kinds of jobs? Yeah, look for internships, look to start networking. You can join my Facebook group. We're like 3,000 people sharing work and having discussions in there. So you can start networking. Once we are all out and about and going to public places again, you can go to local industry related events and start making friends with people. How would you define as cultural appropriation? Just like lifting stuff from a different culture and pretending it's your own and not changing enough. There's like homage and respect, but you have to change it enough. You have to incorporate your own creativity to it. If you just rip it and pretend that's your own, then that's cultural appropriation. What do you think of the job market of tech design? Tech designers, tech design is just not as popular as fashion design. And so there are always more jobs available for less popular categories. So if you are looking for a job right now, that is going to be a better bet than apparel design. How was your journey during college to discover which way you wanted to take after graduating? I don't really remember. I started college in 1998. Do you know how long ago that was? I mean, some of y'all weren't even alive back then. I mean, I really can't remember like if I had like I mean, I didn't have a lot of time for angst because I was too busy trying to pay for school, and I almost didn't finish my senior year on time because I ran out of money. And so it was just like, can I just get enough money to finish school and then I will fucking get a job? Excuse my French, but like that's kind of where I was. I was desperate to finish. I didn't want to pay for a fifth year because I didn't have money. I barely had money for a fourth year. How was I going to get money for a fifth year? And that's really what it was. It was straight up survival because the program was hard. I was working a lot. I wanted to have internships, but they didn't pay as much as the actual jobs that I had. And I had to buy fabric. Always had to buy fabric. So, yeah. Is an associate in fashion design better than a bachelor's? No. Associate is a 2-year degree and bachelor's is a 4-year degree. Would you ever consider making a video about preparing garment ready for fashion photography? You press it. You have to steam it. You have to iron it. It's not that difficult. I think there's more to your question that I'm not understanding, but I'm not a fashion stylist and I don't talk about things that I don't know about. Should I focus more on sketching, art, conceptual fashion, or actual sewing and construction to prepare? That is a question for the school. You should definitely contact their admissions department. How can you find dead stock? Talk to jobbers. You need to talk to the people who run jobbers, people who wholesale fabric sales reps may have some leads. It's kind of like a treasure hunt, really. So you can find wholesale sales reps, fabric sales reps. You can talk to jobbers, the people who, anybody who runs a fabric store. You can be like, hey, I want to source my next collection full of dead stock. Do you have any leads for me? Do you have any things that you're just like, you all are discontinuing and you just have stock somewhere that nobody's buying? Do you have anything like that? I have no thoughts on the Vogue Fashion Fund because I don't know enough about it. And again, I don't talk about things I don't know enough about. You said your husband knew something about vaccine for COVID-19. Is he in medicine? No, he's not in medicine. He read a news article saying that scientists were a few weeks away from it. So he read it straight up from the news. Do you need fusible for the mask you made? Fusible makes the mask better. It's another layer of protection. It's like a non-medical grade filter. Okay, so it filters more stuff. It is another layer of protection, and it gives structure to the mask so that when you gather up the sides, it creates structure to cup your face. It's not 100% necessary, but it definitely makes the mask a lot better. Yeah, it's a motorcycle. It's like when you're filming and it's sunset, so the light keeps changing in my studio. It's like kind of bananas. How do you get into productive mode, especially in quarantine? I let myself take breaks. That's the thing is like, I think that we're just like, I have to be productive all the time. And I just kind of, I've been working from home for such a long time that transitioning into kind of COVID era working from home, like I get anxious about the world's situation, and sometimes I cough and I'm like, oh my god, I'm dying. And yeah, I do get those kinds of panics, but you got to ride it out. And things are taking longer than usual because I do take breaks, but listen to your body and make to-do lists. I think I mentioned before, I love making to-do lists where you write them out because I get a deep sense of satisfaction from crossing them out. I've used like list making apps on my phone before, but it's not the same sense of satisfaction. It really makes me happy to like cross things off a list. Do you have any advice for aspiring pattern makers? Hmm. Keep practicing. It's always the same stuff. Always practice. Pick up a new book, try out some more methods. Even if you think you have something nailed, you might learn a new process that makes things easier or better, fit better. So, yeah, always just work on new stuff. What percentage of popular designers would you say are environmentally conscientious? Like, not enough. Hmm. Do you think 18th century is in this year? I say a few for spring, summer, like Tom Brown. I'm a bit obsessed with Rococo and Baroque. Yeah, that was a weird thing because when I started working on my book and I was like putting together like design projects so that I could make examples for the book. I did that whole Rococo Egypt thing, and then it turned into my clothing skeletons and human skeletons, and I was doing all this stuff. And then Tom Brown came out with that whole thing, and I think like Machino did one, and it kind of became a thing. But that's how trends happen. It's like a lot of people separately decide something is cool all at once, and yeah, I mean, I like it. I mean, Rococo is just so ridiculous. And it's so the opposite of everything we're doing now, where everybody just wants to wear yoga pants everywhere. But like Rococo is like so the opposite with everything. Mm. How can I get a designing job in the age of 13? Well, if you live in the US, you can't because we have child labor laws. I Okay, all jokes aside, I don't have advice for 13-year-olds. I really don't. I think 13-year-olds should go to school and have childhoods and go play outside when they can in their backyards during quarantine and explore different things and have fun and stuff like that. Hi Zoe, I really like your videos. I'm really interested in fashion design. I'm Native American. I wanna but my designs with native design. What classes do I take first? You mean you want to incorporate your native designs into your fashion design work? That's great. That doesn't require a special class. You should take some design courses where you will learn how to incorporate different influences into one collection. I'm starting to design and a grandma. Hi, Far, are you saying you're a grandma who is starting to design? I think that's what you're saying. That's cool. Mhm. What are challenges I would face being an independent freelance fashion designer? Getting jobs. That's really the number one thing. Like, if you have worked on your skills and you're bomb at Adobe and that's how you pitch yourself and stuff, the thing about freelance is the drought and flood in terms of income. Like sometimes you're making $10,000 a month, sometimes you're making $0 a month. And so you have to plan for that and you're kind of always looking for work when you're a freelancer. And that's why networking is good. That's why having a strong social media presence is good so that people find you. I'm not saying this to brag, but because I have such a big social media presence, I get a lot of job offers. That's really and that's how they find me, okay, is what I'm trying to say. Motorcycle. Is they find me because they see the work that I do on my channel. They see the work that I present on Instagram and they're like, oh, she can probably do this. And so they contact me because of what they've seen. And this is why I keep insisting to everyone that they should have a strong social media presence. They should have like portfolio level works. And your social media should mainly include things that you want to be hired for. If you hate sewing, Don't put sewing projects on your professional social media because then people will try to hire you for sewing. If you really want to do Adobe Illustrator, you're really good at that, and that's how you pitch yourself, then yeah, fill that grid with all the Adobe stuff. But yeah, you're going to have to get used to cold calling people, networking, because back when I didn't have much of a social media presence, my freelance project, so I freelance while I work full time, and I got those jobs from my network, from my old college friends, from current friends. It's all word of mouth before, and people hire off of word of mouth before they start looking into recruiting and things like that. So grow your network and increase your social media presence so that eventually the work will come to you. Because like you will spend a lot of time, especially in the beginning, looking for work. Hey, it just dawned on me that COVID-19 is going to mess with a whole load of runway shows in the not too distant future. For sure. The July shows are canceled. That's couture and menswear. A lot of people are kind of preemptively canceling September and October. I think that basically Europe is going to be closed for the rest of 2020 to outside the EU. And so that means that a lot of US and Asian journalists all over the world cannot access the Paris shows, the Milan shows. And so that's going to put a big crimp on things. So yeah. And I've never been a huge fan of runway shows. Well, I take that back. Not never. Of course, growing up, I love runway shows, but learning about how unsustainable runway shows are in the past few years, I have turned away from them. And I think that people should consider new ways to present their work. And I think that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be seeing how different fashion companies can present their work in a new way. And, for a few years fashion films were gaining traction. I went to the La Jolla International Fashion Film Festival a few years ago, and it was such a big deal. And I think there might be a resurgence in that, where it really is more about presenting works in an exciting way, but an online vehicle. Sorry, I'm just like reading all this stuff. You guys are talking to each other, which I always love. So yeah, keep talking to each other, make friends. Like I'm always saying, make friends with people in fashion, network. To me, networking is making friends. Making friends is networking, because I hate fakers. And so I just like to hang out with people I like, talk fashion, talk shop with people that I already kind of click with, and then they become my network. Those of you who have book questions, go to amazon.com/shop/Zoe Hong, and all my book recommendations are there. And, if you go to my Amazon shop, I do make a tiny percentage of sales for marketing, but I don't control the shipping or anything like that. Even if you don't want to use an affiliate link, you can just write down the names of the books that I recommend and buy them elsewhere. Have you been watching Drag Race? No, because I don't have access to Drag Race. I used to watch Drag Race from my best friend Kenny's house because he has cable and everything, and I do not. But I have not been to his house. I haven't been outside the house except for doctor's appointments since early March. I miss hanging out over there and watching TV. Oh my gosh, it's 7:09. Okay, so let's just rapid fire for the next 10 minutes and close out today's session. All right. Thank you for all the compliments. You guys have been sprinkling compliments throughout the chat. I love all y'all. Do you have an opinion on best pattern brand for men's clothes? I have zero opinion on commercial patterns. I do not know anything about them. And if you watch my interview with Melissa Clamia, you would know that. Like, it was a funny thing, and people were so surprised that I'd never seen a commercial pattern before, like, or worked with one or anything. I've always made my own patterns. I'm 23, going into my second year of a 6-year part-time BA in textile and fashion design degree. Any advice on how to make the most out of fashion school before graduating? Let me tell you something. In a huge way, of course, the knowledge, everyone knows that you have to try your best at school to learn all the things, but really it's about the people. And I graduated in 2002, and almost 20 years later, I still keep in touch with some of my old teachers, and a lot of my classmates, and we still, help each other, support each other. And I mean, I've interviewed some of my college classmates for the interviews with industry professionals playlist because they're working designers in the industry. Why not, right? And when I started teaching, I kind of like reached out to a couple of my old my old teachers. And then when I go down to LA and I'll have dinner with one of my old design teachers. And that is like, school is the beginning of your network, your professional network. So, of course, school isn't necessarily for socializing, but do get to know your classmates. Do, participate in social outings and get to know them and talk to your teachers and be a human being with them, and, and nurture the relationships that will go past school. I feel that COVID-19 is going to push 3D printing and the apparel industry even further than where it was pre-COVID-19. I think, yeah, just like 3D printing and those kinds of technologies will go further. Shout out to the drag race on the now deserted streets outside my place too. Listen, I live in Oakland, and they're like doing a drag race on one of the main roads out here, and they drew a crowd. I'm like, excuse me, crowd, do you know what we are trying to do here? Working on a low budget, I have to choose between a fashion show and a photo shoot for my collection. Photo shoot every day of the week, because you can use those photos for so many things. You can put together a beautiful lookbook and send them out to buyers. You can use those photos for your website, for a future portfolio if you close your clothing line and decide to go look for a job. Yeah. Fashion shows have extremely limited returns unless you are a huge powerhouse and you could do a big show like Chanel. It's like photo shoot over show any day of the week. Do you think gloves will come back into fashion? Maybe. I don't know. I don't really like gloves. Listen, I grew up in Alaska. I didn't even wear gloves back then because I hated the feeling on my hands. Met Gala was postponed. What is my opinion? Any large gathering being postponed is a good thing. That's my opinion. Hi, Zoe. I'm studying. Okay, can people not write in all caps? How do I get motivated to keep in top of assignments during COVID-19? What is the best Illustrator YouTube video I can use for assignment? If you mean Adobe Illustrator, you need to look at Robin Schneider's channel. Robin's done some guest lectures on my channel, and she is the Adobe Illustrator queen for fashion. I don't know anything about fashion forecasting. Elsa Scaparelli, I will talk about her in the 1930s video. How important is it to keep up with current events in fashion as a designer? Very important. Everyone who works in a specific industry should keep up with the news and the trends and major events of what is going on in their industry. Everyone. It's just part of being a knowledgeable designer, especially since designing is so related to what's going on in the world. Do y'all think VR fashion shows can be a thing in the future? For sure. For sure. Is muslin a good cheap textile to start with? It is your rough draft fabric. It is what people use to drape rough drafts, your toiles. Yeah. So it's like, it's rough, but it's cheap. It doesn't stretch. I've been trying to get an internship at a collection brand for a long time. Can't compete with other students, grads that work for free. Any advice on how I can convince them in interviews that they should pay me other than pointing out that they can clearly afford it? Yeah, I have a major problem with huge companies with CEOs and creative directors that take home 6-7 figure salaries and can't pay interns. It's just so bad. But yeah, like, maybe if you wrote a letter to the boss's boss about how you are competitive and that you have so much to offer and that you do need money to pay your bills, but but in exchange for the money, you will take that internship, far more seriously than anyone who wasn't getting paid, and, constantly talk about what you can bring to the table. That's your only guess. That's my guess for what you can do. Okay. 5 more questions. Zoe, do you do private online consultations? I used to, but I'm so busy right now that I'm not doing them anymore for the time being. Queen of lipstick and black shirts. That's me. Did you see that Instagram story that I posted from my trip in 2012? And I was wearing a long sleeve black t-shirt back then too. Like all the time. This is what I wear. Doo-doo. It's not on a delay. It's just you guys write so fast and I'm trying to catch everybody. The differences between costume design and fashion are 1 million. Please go watch my interview with the costume designer and my interview with the industry professionals playlist. Doo-doo-doo. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. What are good sources to keep up with current events in fashion? The Fashion Law blog. They keep track of lawsuits, but that is a huge deal in fashion. Business of Fashion, BOF.com, I think is their website. And Robin Given, I follow her all over social media. She is a great fashion journalist. So that's ROBINGIVHAN. Given. I don't know how to pronounce that. Kathy Horan, Susie Mankes, they're also great fashion journalists. Just go to my Twitter account and see who I'm following. I follow a lot of great fashion journalists. Go check out who I'm following on Twitter. Okay, good night. A lot of people are leaving because it's getting late in different time zones. Yeah, so let us wrap this up. Good morning. Yeah, it's like different time zones and stuff. So I think that's it for questions that I am able to answer. Or I know there's some people who are joining us late, but I did answer a lot of the questions that was getting repeated later on. So I do recommend that when this gets reposted, that you watch it from the beginning, because there are a lot of questions that I address about my views on coronavirus and what the fashion industry can do as a reaction to coronavirus and the economy and stuff. And all the questions that I answered before that. So thank you so much for joining me on my live today. I hope I was able to answer your question in a way that was helpful for you. Please give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new today. And remember, stop asking yourself if you can be a designer. Ask yourself, what kind of designer can I be? All right? And I will see you in the next video. Bye.